Shut up, Jeff. Go talk.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings presented by MSI with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Sony making a new handheld that sounds a lot like the Switch. It's going to be a good episode because we have Lex Luddy on the show. Lexi, how are you doing?
The thing I love about Giant Bomb is like one person tags out and one person tags in, and it just runs like a well-oiled machine.
You can't
It's
even
like
tell the difference.
Yeah, it's like a sports team where they just have their playbook and everyone knows their roles.
man up.
And it's just, yeah, it's beautiful.
I will mute you and take over your spot, Lexi. Don't think I won't.
The thing is, I know Sean isn't joking.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Never joked, Sean, not once in his life. It's look, we're doing our best over here. Most of it's just like me being like, where am I at? Point me in the right direction. Where am I supposed to be right now? But we're making it work. It's been fun still. That's all that matters, right, everybody? It's not like anyone's paying for this. Lexi, how are you doing?
Grubb, I'm so fucking tired. I'm so tired. I was out at Gamescom. I had my flight home cancelled while I was at Gamescom, which, let me tell you, that rules. And then having to be
like, you got to go, you're going to different country. It's like if your flight get canceled, like, what do they expect you to do? It's so weird. Flights getting canceled. Such a crazy concept to me still.
So the thing that really annoyed me was I booked return flights and then I had to be out there a day early for an NVIDIA event. So I booked another flight that would get me out there a day early. And then because I didn't show up for the first of my flights that I had originally booked, they just cancelled everything after that because they were like, oh, this person didn't show up. And I had to ring them and be like, hey, no, I'm in the country. I got a different flight. And they were like, oh, we're going to charge you €150 to rebook it. And I was like, that's great. Can I rebook it? And they were like, no, you can only do that a day beforehand. So you're going to have to ring us back again. The day beforehand, which resulted in me having to cancel 2 appointments at Gamescom because the only times that their fucking customer service was open was during the working day. So in total, I missed out on 2 appointments that I was meant to be getting freelance commissioned to cover and also pay the €150. So I lost out on about €470 because they cancelled my flights.
It's fun to travel is what I've discovered. It's fun. No downsides to it whatsoever. I'm like looking over at PAX, and I'm like, PAX is happening this weekend, and I would love to have been there, but also happy to not be traveling. Definitely, it's a lot of that has lost its luster on me, especially anytime going to the cities I've been to a bunch of times before. I like Seattle. I do like being at these places, but I like being at home too. That's nice.
Yeah, and I will say, first time in Frankfurt airport ever. The worst airport bar none I have ever been in.
Fun.
Genuinely one of the most miserable places on earth. Just nowhere to sit once you get through security, nowhere to get food. Fucking miserable experience. But apart from that, Gamescom was good.
Is it confusing, or is it just like a drab place to be?
It is a drab place to be, and there's nowhere to sit down once you go through security. So you're just like, well, I guess I'm just sitting on the ground. This is great. That's
also crazy.
It's also one of those
someone doesn't understand what airports are like.
It's one of those airports where they don't have anywhere to refill your water bottles, which I think should be a fucking criminal act.
Yeah, that should be a law.
Let people allow people to refill their water bottles when they get through security. It's awful. But Gamescom was good.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure we'll have opportunities here to talk about it throughout the news, maybe a little bit here or there. But let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. You go to giantbomb.com/join. You get ad-free versions of the show by becoming a premium member. It also gets you some extra goodies. We are also, let's see here. We do fun stuff like go out to Summer Game Fest or do some traveling and or set up the game awards and stuff like that. And we'll do some fun stuff there. And we could do that through your support. And if you could support us, make sure we can keep doing a lot more of that by going, once again, to giantbomb.com/join and becoming a premium member. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Sony is gunning for the Switch 2 with a handheld dockable PS6. This is from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. Despite Sony's PS5 being on the market for nearly 5 years at this point, it still somehow feels way too soon to be talking about the inevitable PlayStation 6. Who even wants or needs one yet? But alas, here we are. The latest rumor from YouTube channel Moore's Law is Dead via Push Square is particularly significant because it seems to hint that Sony is planning to launch a variant of the PS6 that will not only be a handheld but can also be docked just like the Switch and Switch 2. Codenamed Canis, the handheld is supposedly one of 3 SKUs planned for the PlayStation 6. The main one will be Orion, which will be your bog standard flagship console with all of the specs. The second is the Canis handheld, and the third is the Canis console, or the PS6S. The latter two will share similar specs and will likely lean closer to what Sony is currently offering with the PS5/PS5 Pro, albeit with a few minor upgrades here and there. So essentially, rather than focusing on sheer power, because if it ain't obvious by now, we're very much past the era of power and we're into diminishing returns. Sony is seemingly looking to capture both the console and handheld market. Hopefully, this might also mean that it's able to offer slightly cheaper options because of the so-called Orion is going to retail at a similar price to the PS5 Pro. We'll see if that happens. Okay. So there's a couple things here. This comes from Moore's Law is Dead, who, is kind of all over the place with rumors, but it has had some rumors that have been borne out when it comes to PlayStation stuff specifically, and especially anything that uses the AMD chipset inside of the PlayStation. So let's just kind of take this as, all right, maybe this is happening. Let's discuss it as a possibility here. This is going to apparently have a system where it'll have a handheld mode and it'll run at a certain power level, and then you can dock it, and when it's docked it will run at a higher power level, so you get more performance out of there. That's a little bit different than how some things work, like the Steam Deck can get more power if you plug it in or whatever. The Switch tends to not give you too many more differences, other than games will have different profiles in certain situations, but it's not like all of a sudden a ton more power is unlocked. So yeah, I am curious to see what Sony's thinking internally about running another handheld out there. This is a company that has done this multiple times before. Not exactly like this. This is pretty different from a PlayStation Portable or a PlayStation Vita in some key ways. But they are going to be going to a space that Nintendo dominates and is also pretty busy with PC handhelds. So what do you think when you hear all this?
The thing that gives me a bit of hesitancy about this rumor is the idea of launching 3 console SKUs at once. Like, that seems nuts.
Yeah.
And also, you look at the history of multiple console SKUs in recent years and how the Xbox Series S has affected development on that platform. It hasn't made life easier. It's made it harder for them to get games running at parity. It's made it some games just haven't come to Xbox because they don't want to deal with the Series S. And yes, the PS6 that has the handheld version will probably wind up becoming the version that the most people want to buy. But also, if they're saying that the PS6 that is just a traditional console is the flagship version, then they will also be trying to incentivize developers to make their games look better on that. And I think it's a very weird place to start a console generation with a lineup that is already that split. It makes sense as a generation goes on to give people more options and to kind of be like, well, now you can buy the Switch Lite, which, you can't dock, but it's cheaper. Or now you can buy the PS5 Pro, which is more expensive, but, it's for the premium user. Starting out like that, it seems, I don't know, it seems risky. Because people already like the Switch because they can just plug it in and play. Like that's the convenience of the Switch. That's the convenience of consoles. And the idea of instead of playing into that and just being like, no, we're just doing a handheld hybrid and this is going to be what we do. I think they're almost scared to put all their chips down on just doing a handheld hybrid, even if they think that is the way forward for the console market. But also, like, I don't know how much effort they're going to put into a fully traditional console system if the handheld hybrid is where they want their like eggs to eventually wind up. So yeah, I what do you think of this? Because like I'm super split on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are right that they do need to have some presence in this space. Whether or not they can figure that out, whether or not they can sort of make that make sense and present it in a right way that won't sort of degrade what happens with the core PlayStation 6 console, and at the same time is enough to compete and get a little bit of the market share from Nintendo. It was something that will be difficult. And then if it's like if that's not the strategy, then them being able to find a way to kind of set themselves to the side of that. I mean, I think that they're right that there is going to be a lot of people who have grown up playing handhelds their whole lives because of Nintendo, and will be like looking at stuff like the Steam Deck and all these other things and going, that's where I should be. I mean, I'll probably still have a Nintendo system, but I want to have something else that could play all these other games. And Sony can offer that and in a really compelling way. And a big part of that is they can still make it a console where it's like just very simple to use, and people still really want that. I just think that every time that they've done this before, it has been dragged down because they try to have two separate like pathways, parallel pathways of we're developing the big games over here and we're developing the smaller games over here, and they can't support
B
that
team was
themselves.
always on Vita. The B teams were always put on Vita games.
Yes, that's right. I mean, and really the B team was put on a lot of PSP games, and then no team was put on a lot of Vita stuff, where it's like on the Vita, the support kind of dried up like pretty quickly from Sony and some other third parties. There was a lot of indies and visual novel games that supported the Vita for a very long time, so it did have some games coming to it. But that might not be a problem this time with this thing, because the idea would be that this is just also a PS6 that brings it up like to your problem that you mentioned, like the Xbox Series S has not caused or has caused some headaches. And so does that sort of replicate here? I think probably. And I wonder if like this is Sony just kind of like, yeah, go ahead.
The really big headache that they are going to run up against is like you look at the feature set on the PS5, and this would have to have backwards compatibility on all that. Like PlayStation 5 controllers run out of battery in 2 hours, and that's just because there's so much shit in them. There is their version of HD Rumble, there is their gyroscope, there's their touchpad, there's their light bars, there's all of this, and I think that all that stuff being put into a handheld is going to be a huge battery drain. Like the Switch and Steam Deck, they don't have the battery drain just in a controller that the PlayStation stuff will demand, and because people will expect this to be backwards compatible. So I think that like already they're going to have a real challenge with getting this thing to be power efficient.
Yep, I think yeah, and they're going to face a lot of other companies that now have a ton of experience in this space and might have a little bit more room to work with, because they aren't going to be anchored to something like a PS6. If they do this and they position this as a PS6, every game is going to have to work, right? Like, is there any way that they could try to find a way through messaging to be like, these are the games that don't work on your PS6 because it's the handheld PS6? That just can't work, right?
No, I don't think you can get away with that, especially if you also have a PS6S model, which is apparently not like a traditional console style that is as powerful as the handheld. I don't think like the idea of having two consoles on the market and one of the games can play on only one of them seems nuts. Like that would never fly. So yeah, I think that we've seen this as platforms open up and democratization of tools and all of that, developers have really struggled with getting things running on every single platform, and they have to pick their battles more than ever. And it's, I think that one of the real like luxuries of the console market was if you were a PlayStation exclusive developer, you could just build your games for PlayStation. You know, you saw it with like the Cell processor on the PS3. Games that were just built for that could look really fucking good. Whereas now you're going to have a situation where they're at least building for 3 console SKUs. Most of these games will probably also be making their way to Xbox and Switch by this time. And also they're doing all their porting to PC now. I think it's going to like really strain their pipeline, and like they recently gushed, what was it, the PlayStation support studio, the Sony Arts studio or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But like they have Nixies, but they're kind of a PC porting house. So I just wonder where the extra support comes from for them to be able to get these games running at like acceptable qualities, not just on their consoles, but on all the other platforms that they want to be releasing on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of getting at really the maybe the Achilles heel here is, the reason people buy the Nintendo handheld is to play Nintendo games. I had Matt Piscatella from Mr. Khan earlier this week, and it's like, yeah, never forget that. That's why people buy the Nintendo handheld. And I think people buy the Sony system for Sony games, but there are fewer of those, right? These days, it feels like there's fewer of those that are really, really moving the needle. At least the big ones that everyone does talk about. Sony PlayStation.
Hey,
The
Grubb,
first part,
Lost Soul Aside is out now.
Lost Suicide's out this week. Is that what we're talking about here? That's not what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning this concept here.
I am.
Other than the Seans of the world, I think that when people go to buy this thing, they'll be like, okay, well, why am I getting a PlayStation? It's to play Madden, Call of Duty, Fortnite. It's to play all these games that are available in a lot of different places, and there's going to be other handhelds that will likely be maybe more affordable and or more powerful and or have more stores on them, so you can more easily access some of this stuff. Maybe a place where you've already been playing this stuff. I guess that's the thing that maybe Sony's trying to do here is there are a lot of people who already play those games on PlayStation, and they want to take their save file and their account, and they want to have that be seamless, and they want to serve that audience over here. And they have evidence that that audience does want to play on a handheld because the PlayStation Portal sold way better than they were ever expecting. Whether that means that audience can now support a PS6 handheld, we'll see. I just think they are in such a different situation because Nintendo's had 30 years of an audience trained that, hey, our handhelds may be your primary way that you're interacting with our stuff because of Pokemon. And the Sony audience is a little bit different there. That doesn't mean they shouldn't try this. I think they probably should. I just wonder if the final product that we see is actually a lot what this sounds like, or if it's like scaled back. Maybe it's an improved PlayStation Portal is what they end up settling on. I
will say, I super hope this works because PlayStation Portable, PS Vita, they are great handhelds. They feel really good to hold.
Sony can make hardware.
Yeah, they like look really nice. There is something about those handhelds where it's like, this is what on-the-go gaming should feel like, because some of those experiences really were like pushing that hardware to its limits and were really impressive for what they are. Like, I have a Retroid Pocket, and the thing that I play the most on it is PSP games, because they still look fucking awesome, and they like are genuinely really fucking good gaming experiences. So like, I want it to work, but I'm just hesitant of this idea of like 3 console SKUs, and it doesn't seem like a very clear direction. Like, I would get it if they were like, no, we are just doing a handheld hybrid now. But the idea of being like, we're doing a handheld and 2 traditional consoles at launch, it seems like a lot.
Yeah, it seems like too much, and like they're setting themselves up for, I don't know, not like if you focus down on the one thing you really want to sell, and then over time maybe you expand. If they were going to launch all this right away, I'd bet it's the kind of thing where this is the kind of thing that could cause a console launch delay. We'll see. Not that that's any concern, because as the story rightfully points out, I am not aching for a PS6 in any way. Just like it's not at 0%. but it's at like 5% desire level right now for me. And you know, in most new consoles at this point in their life, I'm getting up there like, oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to maybe something new. I think last gen also took a couple more years than normal because it was like, yeah, this gen there's been plenty of good games. I'm not necessarily aching for a PS5, but once they showed it off, I was ready and raring to go. Now it's like, I don't know.
It
So
doesn't feel like we've had our 2017 equivalent this generation,
no,
you know? It doesn't feel like there's been a year where you're like, man, what a fucking back-to-back bangers throughout the year. Like, there's been great games, and I think, like, the overall quality of games has been excellent recently, but, like, we haven't had that year where, like, literally no one could figure out what game of the year would be because there's like 4 games that are like eligible or like could be some of the greatest games of all time coming out in the same year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has been a lot of great games. It just has not felt like the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, they have not felt like they've had their definitive year like you're suggesting, and I agree with that. Last thing before we move on from this topic. So PS5 Pro is $750 now. All of their consoles went up like $50, I think. I think when I look at that pricing, part of me does think that they're setting up the next gen so that they can step up from these prices. And honestly, having a handheld in the mix makes it make even more sense to me because this thing that the way it's described can't be less than $600. So, and I think if that's going to be like, okay, the $600 handheld and maybe the $500 PlayStation 6S that isn't portable, and then a $700 PS6, and then one day an $800 PS6 Pro. You're making that face that I think is the correct response to all of these numbers, Lexi.
I'm making the I'm a freelancer face.
Yes.
Which is like, this is more money than I make in several months.
Yes. So, I mean, I don't think you're alone in that boat of people looking at those numbers and being like, I'm being priced out of this hobby. I mean, do any of those prices sound wrong to you? I think that's how this is probably going to shake out. I feel pretty confident about that.
They don't sound wrong, and that's what's so upsetting. You know, like I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, motherfucker. Yeah, I think that this is like going to be the generational problem for this era of gaming. Is it's getting really fucking expensive to keep doing gaming in the way that we're doing it. Matt was on this week talking about how you know, he doesn't think that like necessarily releasing more games quicker is the solution to things. You know, part of that is also like, I don't think making the bigger games come out quicker is a solution either. And, you know, games being this expensive to make and this expensive to release and market and sell to people for the return that they then make in turn is a problem, and it's now a problem that's gotten so serious that it is being like the people who play games are feeling that pinch. Companies are not willing to eat the cost on it. They are charging through the nose for it. So yeah, I think that that's going to be a real challenge of the next generation. Is like, I don't think there's going to be that many people like you and me who buy all the consoles anymore, because I just don't think that's going to be realistic.
And and like as people like us occasionally do get priced out, it's not like there's a young person replacing us that is that way about the hobby, where they're like, I'm gonna now get all the consoles. They're like, I don't need all the consoles. I've never needed all the consoles. What are you talking about?
And even if there was, like, they don't have the money. Like, even if there were young people that excited about the hardware, like, what young person has, as a young person that doesn't have money, what young person has money for this hobby anymore?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's keep going with the headlines here real quick. Shout out to My Life in Gaming. Corey did a raid real quick. We're big fans of My Life in Gaming over here. I also like, Corey, when you show up in the Greg Stewart's videos and you do the voices on those videos. I appreciate that. All right. Let's keep going here. Capcom settles it. No, Pragmata isn't a secret Mega Man game. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC.
It's like when Kojima got out there and said he wasn't the fucking guy.
Yeah, the bandage head guy. Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not Joaquin Mogren. Pragmata isn't Mega Man.
We all believe you, Capcom. Capcom has officially debunked the popular online fan theory that its upcoming sci-fi action game Pragmata is secretly a Mega Man revival. online fan theories kicked off earlier this year, noting the similarities between the design of Pragmata's robotic girl sidekick Diana and Capcom's Mega Man, as well as thematic connections like the game taking place on a moon base taken over by evil machines infected by a virus. However, Capcom has now officially debunked the rumor after VGC quizzed a Pragmata producer Naoto Oyama about the theory. Pragmata
Man,
is...
I respect VGC for asking this, but like
too.
that poor producer just being like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? I've been working on this game for 7 years, and you're asking me if it's a fucking Mega Man game?
Look, she's got the Buster, whatever it is, the thing there on her arm. It looks just like it. Pragmata is not a Mega Man game, he laughed. It is a completely new game from Capcom. I was actually one of the producers on the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection as well, so I'm happy to see that people who love Mega Man are passionate about Pragmata too. What a diplomatic answer. From my standpoint, it's nice to see people are being so positive about it. Give them time; they're going to get toxic about it when when it turns out to not be the case. I
can already see Mike Minotti in chat being fucking angry. He is not happy about this shit. He is going to start a letter writing campaign.
Okay, so I'm not buying this shit. It's definitely a Mega Man game. This is what they would say, right?
Having played that demo twice now, I played it at an NVIDIA event at Gamescom and at Capcom itself. I just think it's a really fucking good game.
It's just good, right? It's good.
This is how I described it.
You should probably have to see Seaman at some point.
Oh, look at these simple brain normies. Oh, person in charge said it's not.
Thank you, Sean. We were just saying we weren't buying it, all right?
But having played like this game twice, do you want to know how I started describing it to people?
Please, I want to hear it.
It is the Resident Evil 4 combat system with a mini game that activates the same part of your brain as Tetris and jet boots.
That makes it sound awesome, and that works because it is. It really is all those things in a very good way. That's a very good description. It's like when you actually describe what you're doing, I see people's eyes glaze over. I start doing the 10-year-old explaining something that I'm excited about things. I'm like, oh, people aren't getting it. Let's just move on. What you just said there, I think, should activate people's brains in a good way.
Yeah, game.
Excited about Pragmata.
I'm very excited about it. I was not expecting to like be as hard on that game as I was, but turns out just giving your brain like a low-level task to do while you shoot people makes it so much more engaging.
It's just like, oh, this is, I don't know if it's real left brain, right brain stuff. I'm no expert on it, but it feels that way where it's like this part of my brain likes shooting. This part of my brain likes these tiny little puzzles. Let's bounce back and forth, the tennis ball between these two sides of my brain. And I just feel like it's tickling, the receptors up there in a real nice way. All right, let's take a break. We got to go to our ad sponsor, MicroStar International. The MSI Corporation is bringing you this episode. If you want to skip out on these, go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. For now, let's go to the break. Jan, my computer's sick. I've decided it's time to start building a new one. I just don't know where to start.
Grubb, if your computer is sicky poo, you got to start with MSI, which just dropped something big in its brand new Z890 and B860 Intel motherboards.
Are those the motherboards that unlock the power of the Intel Core Ultra Series 2 CPUs?
Yes, sir. These Mobos, as we're calling them on the streets, are powerhouses for gaming, streaming, and whatever intense tasks you need to throw at them.
Okay, but Jan, you know me. I'm scared of tools. That screwdriver's so sharp.
It's okay, bud. MSI made them Jeff-proof and maybe Dan-proof as well, which means they're easy to work with. No more wrestling with tiny little screws or confusing manuals. We're talking easy debug LEDs that tell you exactly what's going on. Toolless installs for your M2 drives and GPUs, or GPUs. We're calling them GPUs too now.
Okay, hell yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. MSI has that modern BIOS as well that looks like it was actually made for humans to use, not some relic from 2003. Give me more of that.
Yes, that's right. It's going to be so easy to get secure boots on the ground. It's like PC building on easy mode, Grubb. And here's the best part. Giant Bombcast listeners, MSI is giving you 10% off these new regularly priced Z890 and B860 boards. Just head over to us-store.msi.com and use promo code BOMBCAST at checkout. Boom, instant savings.
I'm going to stack that discount. They allow you to do that. And with MSI's got ongoing promotions that's potentially going to score me up to $120 in Steam codes. It's basically free games just for upgrading. Everyone listening should do the same.
So if you're ready to upgrade your setup, do not wait. Visit us-store.msi.com and use the code BOMBCAST, BOMCAST, all in lowercase, and give your PC the upgrade it deserves.
MSI, making PC building less of a headache and a lot more fun.
Mobo!
We're back. It's Game Mess Mornings. I am Jeff Grubb. That's Lex Luddy. Let's get back into the headlines here with Diablo devs vote to create 450 plus strong union. This is from Rachel Kaiser at GamesBeat. The Communication Workers of America announced today that over 450 workers at Activision Blizzard who've worked on the Diablo franchise have voted to unionize. According to the CWA, the unit includes a wide swath of workers across the company, including developers, artists, engineers, and more. Microsoft has also recognized the union. Blizzard staff speaking about the union vote noted the potential workplace problems that the union vote would avert. Most recently, Microsoft laid off over 9,000 employees, which included staff at Blizzard. Jason Justice, president of the CWA Local 9510, one of the chapters under which the Blizzard members would be organizing, said, "What's happening here is part of a much larger story about turning the tide in an industry that has long overlooked its labor. Entertainment workers across film, television, music, and now video games are standing together to have a seat at the table." And I mean, you know, one of the things they mentioned is there is a passion tax. Like, hey, people really want to work in this industry, and these companies exploit that, and they always have. And of course, like, that is capitalism, right? You're supposed to capitalize on every opportunity, and being able to take advantage of someone and pay them less or give them less in exchange for their labor because they want to do the job is something that you are just supposed to do under the way capitalism works. The only way to sort of stand against that is to dismantle capitalism, which is not going very well. I don't know if you've paid attention, Lexi. It's not going super well, that whole thing. Or you can have
working on it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Or we can have a union kind of get at the table and demand certain things be applied to every employee there. And, I think there is an upswell of unionization in video games because of two factors. I think even the people that were once resistant to it, like there were a lot of old heads who grew up in this industry or worked this industry for a long time who would have never unionized because they're like, I like to stand on my own 2 feet and bargain for myself, and I'm meritocracy on all this. I think they've even learned, no, these companies will always take advantage of us and will always kind of undermine us in the end. And then there's a lot of younger people who just inherently knew this because they were properly educated about the way these corporations work. So I don't know. The tides do feel like they're turning. And this is, I said last night on Game Decides, the idea of a union like this at Blizzard 10 years ago would have been completely laughable. So here we are.
And I think you need to give them big ups for how fucking brave this is under Microsoft at the moment. You look at the stuff that they are doing to people who are protesting internally within the company. You look at I think Arcane putting out that letter a couple of weeks back as part of their union is something that only could have happened with union protections, making sure that there wouldn't be retaliation. And even then, it's not a guarantee that there wouldn't be retaliation against them. I think that this definitely got speeded up by what happened over at King, or what is currently happening over at King, and how people are being basically put on work that will get rid of their job in a couple of months' time so that AI can do it instead. I think you have a lot of people within Microsoft and within Activision Blizzard King who are looking around and being like, we need to fucking protect ourselves, because it is becoming very clear that Microsoft doesn't actually care how these games are made. They care that the games make money. And if the game, no matter how bad it is, no matter how shitty it is for the player, no matter how bad it is for the developers to work on, if the game keeps on making more money, they do not care what goes into the sausage. And so you have people who are banding together and protecting themselves. I think that's the only sensible thing you can do if you work at these companies, short of like extricating yourself from the company. Which I also like. I think that everyone at every developer, every studio head at Microsoft at the moment should be like ringing up Toys for Bob saying, "Hey, how did you get out?" Because the vibe that you get off of Microsoft is like, we don't care about any of the people making our games. We care that the game division is still making money, and we will cut it to the bone as long as it still makes money. And so I would be trying to find ways to protect my employees, try to find ways to protect myself and get out of that system and try to actually become independent again, because Microsoft sure as shit doesn't care about anyone underneath them.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, it's just pretty obvious based on the way they're behaving right now, where it's like they got distracted by AI, or that's the thing that they were smelling right now that just smells the best to them, and that like the best opportunity. And that means cut everywhere else, including this huge investment you just made in video games. And that means cutting a lot of people. And yet they're still trying to put out a ton of games. So a lot of people are going to have to do a lot more work. Yeah, a seat at the table is really all this gets the people. And, a collective bargaining agreement is also a potential once they're at the table. But a seat at the table is better than the way it was before. And the reason I'm putting it that way is people should not imagine this as some silver bullet that will stop all these people from getting laid off. There will be layoffs again, even if the union fully realizes its power. But at the very least, in the meantime, a union can do things like collectively bargain to ensure people get paid more now while they are employed. So it's not like, okay, I look back and I don't have a job anymore and I wasn't getting as much money as I should have been getting or deserved to be getting because of that passion tax we mentioned earlier. I think if it can happen at Blizzard, it can happen anywhere. And I just hope there is a real domino effect going forward, because this industry just needs a strong unionization era to see what it can do when people are a little bit more protected at these jobs. All right, let's keep going here. Mattel brings He-Man and Eternia to Fortnite via UEFN, which is Unreal Engine for Fortnite. This is from Rachel Kaiser at GamesBeat. Mattel continues its charm offensive with the Masters of the Universe franchise, this time by bringing it to an official island in Fortnite. He-Man, Tila, and several other residents of Eternia, as well as Eternia itself, have joined the island of Masters of the Universe He-Man Heroes, which launched today in early access. Users who visit the island gather together the heroes and some villains from the franchise to battle through hordes of enemies. In doing so, they collect shards of Eternia, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't care about how this game plays or anything like that. Really, I wanted to just ask you, Lexi, because I bet you don't have a lot of interest in He-Man and Masters of the Universe. I don't even really. It was like, it was happening while I was a kid, but my little brother actually was way more into it than I was. We are getting a He-Man game from I can't remember.
Beat 'em up coming out, right?
The beat 'em up. Yeah, Audie's working on it. Audie, who's over at Limited Run Games and is actually back doing stuff for Digital Foundry again. He's overseeing. He's like executive producer and kind of directing the game. And there's that game and there's this. And I wonder, which one do you think is getting more support from the people who own the IP of He-Man and Masters of the Universe?
I was going to say, that a charm offensive is like really working when I didn't even realize that there was a charm offensive going on. I was like, oh, they're going on. Okay.
All right, then.
Okay.
Who are you trying to charm? Because it ain't me.
Yeah. I know that they're making that fucking movie, right? They're like rebooting the movie.
I'm sure they are,
I can't remember who's working on that. All I care about when it comes to He-Man is that really fucking terrible live action movie. From the early 90s.
Dolph Lundgren, yeah.
Yeah, it's the most homoerotic movie ever made, probably.
It's incredible.
It's real good. And has one of the best villain makeups of all time, despite having a budget of like $2. So that's all I care about when it comes to He-Man. Everything else, He-Man, here's the thing, Rob. Living in Ireland, I got a lot of cartoons late. I got a lot of things very fucking late. So I have seen a lot of fucking He-Man, because He-Man was on the Irish national TV station a lot. He-Man fucking sucks. He-Man is a terrible cartoon. It's dreadful. It's so bad. Sure, why not? Who cares? Who cares anymore? Put it in Fortnite.
Yeah, it is like notable to me, although I don't think it's strange. This is just the way these companies are going, where their real interest is honestly just like, let's take He-Man and we're not gonna like make a big AAA game. Let's just put them into one of these other live service games. This feels like the route that a lot of these companies are taking. Now, I'm glad that we're also getting the beat 'em up, but that almost feels like, because the way Audie explained it to me is that he really wanted to do this, and it was his idea, and he pushed it through, and he was able to make it happen. Unless you have someone passionate behind that, able to like oversee a project like this and take the reins and be in charge of it. It's not going to just happen, because these companies are like, we're not interested in any of that. Just put it in Fortnite. And I think there was a time where we obviously would have gotten a lot of IP games just released for the Nintendo DS or whatever, or the Game Boy Advance. And we're far removed from that. And it's like, okay, that is now transforming into these IPs are going to show up in Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft, and that's going to be where they go. And I don't know. Do you think that is good for gaming, bad for gaming? Are you indifferent? What do you think?
I know. I think this comes back to some of what Matt Piscatello was talking about last week, of like games codifying as there being certain games that just are video games. And ultimately, if you're going to have that, if there's video games that like are the video games of record, they're going to start incorporating other things. And so, like, would I be mad if He-Man started like funking up the next Alan Wake game? Yeah, but in Fortnite, who gives a shit? It's Fortnite. Sure, that's the whole platform. My favorite thing about He-Man is when you like tell any of the older fans like, hey, you know He-Man's like fucking gay, right? And they get really mad. They're like, what do you mean? He's not. What do you mean? What do you mean he's not gay? He's cool. I was like, no,
he's just covered in oil for aerodynamic reasons.
Yeah, He-Man is a very like closeted gay character. Let's be real here. But
it's weird because Adam super straight. His alter ego, just the straightest guy ever, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Again, that plays into like him being in the closet.
Oh yeah. It's the whole metaphor there. It's fantastic. Yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Steam now requires age verification in the UK for mature games. Good, we have you here, expert from the UK. Am I right? Oh, okay. Please don't kill me. I was just joking. It was Dan who said it. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Steam is rolling out the requirement for all users in the UK to verify their age in order to access store pages for games with mature content. The restriction seemingly went into effect on Friday after social media users spotted reference to the requirement on Steam's FAQ. Thankfully, the process to verify your age is straightforward. UK users need only to add a credit card to their account, and those who already have one registered will face no restrictions. The age verification requirement comes ahead of the enforcement of a new Online Safety Act in the UK, which makes online platforms responsible for their users' safety. Platforms will be required to prevent children from accessing harmful and age-inappropriate content and provide parents and children with clear and accessible ways to report problems. Other gaming platforms, such as Xbox and Discord, began encouraging users to verify their age in order to access certain content earlier this year. Starting early next year, age verification will be required for players in the UK to retain full access to social features on Xbox, including voice and text communications and game invites. This is stifling and kind of stupid in my opinion, Lexi, because it's only going to cause headaches for people who follow the rules. There's going to be ways to get around these things, like always, and people who want to get around them will continue to get around them without, and they won't have the same headaches as someone who's just actually following all the guidelines and is of age and just doesn't want these hassles. I don't know. What do you make of all this?
I should be upfront as an Irish person, like already kind of have my opinions on certain British lawmakers, but I gotta say, Keir Starmer, the leader of the UK, the head of the Labour Party, is a fucking disgrace and a despicable cunt. He is one of the worst humans currently on the planet. The damage that he has done to the queer and the trans community will be fucking written about for decades, and I hope he dies knowing that he is going to be vilified in the history books. But I think that this is another part of the UK's conservative slip into like fucking ethno-nationalism, and that the way that they are trying to enact this, the idea that they are putting this forward as like a safety thing for the country, when it is so clearly just to control people, when it is so clearly just to make it so that the government knows what you are accessing and when, is like, they think you're fucking stupid. They think you are the dumbest motherfuckers in the world. And in fairness, the British public keeps voting for the people who think they're dumb motherfuckers. So, like, come on, lads.
I mean, because what about the immigrants, Lexi? The immigrants.
Yeah.
Be scared of the immigrants and don't pay attention to any fucking else.
And the other part of this that like makes me fucking angry is, as someone who lives in a country that is often affected by wind changes by UK politics, this stuff ends up affecting me. I can't log into Twitter anymore without it asking me to verify my age, because Twitter doesn't understand the difference between Ireland and the UK.
Doesn't care.
And I'm not gonna fucking give that website a fucking picture of my passport. Fuck that. This all fucking sucks. And I think that the people involved in it are shitty people. And I think that the way that they are trying, like, this all plays into trying to control what you can and can't engage with, what is and isn't deemed art, what like a government says is socially acceptable for you to do in the privacy of your own home and in your own downtime. And it's awful. Like, I really hate this.
Yep. This is something that is happening in Mississippi as well. Always good to be associated with what's going on in Mississippi. Although I should recognize real quick. I just read recently Mississippi was really good at increasing their children's literacy. They were like second to last, and now they're in the middle of the pack, and it's like really impressive. So not always clowning on Mississippi, but Mississippi is doing this. And one of the things there is it's just like it's very clear that this is going to be a violation of the First Amendment. And but will that matter when it gets to the Supreme Court? Probably not. It's just on a fundamental level. There is no law that requires me actually to have an ID. And there is no law that requires me in the United States to have a credit card. And there is a law, a constitutional amendment, that does dictate I can have free speech. When you put all those things on the table, the government just simply should not be allowed to do this in the United States. I don't know about anywhere else. I think it's dumb no matter where you are. And it's all motivated by the same stuff that you're talking about, trying to control people, trying to stand in between people and certain kinds of art and certain kinds of speech. Trump this week telling school boards to destroy all of their educational materials related to transgender studies in like 48 states or whatever. It's just a new way of burning books. And I know it's about saving the children is always the excuse they use. Always. As a parent, let me tell you, every time, 100% of the time, be skeptical of someone who says it's about saving the kids. It almost never is. You can tell they don't care about kids because they use kids to hurt other people or to hurt things that they don't like. And that is always the key to know that they are actually bad people.
Or to just hurt kids.
Yep.
Just hurt kids that they don't like.
Kids. Yep. Absolutely. We're moving on now. Let's see here. Final Fantasy XIV boss addresses mod controversy after the game is review bombed. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. The second incarnation of Final Fantasy XIV debuted in 2013. It's proven to be far more resilient than the version that arrived in 2010. However, there's been discontent in the Final Fantasy XIV community lately over the removal of a popular mod, which led to the game's subsequent review bombing on Steam. Now, director Naoki Yoshida has addressed the mod controversy with an appeal to players. Yoshida's complete remarks were posted on Final Fantasy XIV's official site, and he requested that excerpts from his statement not be used by media outlets. But since his response was nearly 2,000 words, a concise recap is unavoidable. The issue started when Square Enix's lawyers sent a letter to modder Dark Archon regarding Mate Synchronos, Mar Synchronos, a mod that allowed players customized avatars to be visible outside of their own game. Once Mare Synchronos was removed at Square Enix's request, some fans shared their fury in the form of negative Steam reviews.
No, you were right the first time.
They shared their furry fury and negative Steam reviews.
I've seen the bunny girls. I've seen the cat girls.
That's just a feature in the game, right? Although Yoshida notes that he tolerates mods and has admiration for some fan-made creations, he's against mods that violate the game's intent or design in a negative manner. As a potential example, Yoshida noted that Square Enix could face legal consequences in some countries over nude character mods or on display in the game. He also cited customized appearances that mimic paid content from the game as an example of devaluing the service and collectibles that Square Enix sells to provide. I bet that is the real reason, is to, they want to make money. This just feels like one of those ones that was probably made by the business side of things, and now the creative side of things has to sort of justify it. I bet on a certain level they're like, yeah, it would be nice to get that money instead of people using mods to get stuff for free. But I don't know. I feel like you kind of have, this is one of those things you just kind of have to live with. Is there any reason to think Final Fantasy XIV isn't making a fuck ton of money? Like, it probably is doing just fine. And this seems like an unnecessary move to upset your most loyal players. What do you think, Lexi?
I think, yeah, some of this is probably Square Enix being worried about their golden goose. Because you look at Square Enix's recent financial reports for like the last 5-10 years almost, it's been like, yeah, we keep fucking everything up, but Final Fantasy XIV is keeping us afloat. So they are probably extremely sensitive to any potential losses that Final Fantasy XIV has. So if a DLC doesn't hit, like Dawn Trail didn't like hit as much as the last one, they're going to tighten the belt in other places and try to get that money in from other spots concerning Final Fantasy XIV. I think that like there's a lot of pressure on that team. I know that Yoshida was out there being like, hey, please remember we're people. And like, I don't envy that job, because it is both a job where he is under, like, him and his team are under a lot of pressure from fans. Like, MMO fans will let you know how they fucking feel. But also probably under a lot of pressure at an executive level to continue to bring in the same amount of money, if not more, for each expansion, which, as we know, is like not easy to do.
No.
So like, I do feel bad for the devs in this situation, because I don't know a dev who like genuinely hates modding, because they are like, hey, people care enough about our game to create shit themselves for our game. So yeah, I feel bad for them.
Yep. At the same time, I'm trying to like parse this the way this is phrased. Mare Synchronos, a mod that allowed players customize avatars to be visible outside of their own game. Does that mean it can
Grubb,
like?
can I
please
speak on this one as a
please,
casual FF14 player? So I know a little bit about this, but so I might get a little wrong. The golden rule of FF14 mods is shut the fuck up Friday. And like Yoshida has pretty explicitly said that before. As long as you are just doing things within your own game and you're not affecting other people's games, and you're not advertising it super hard, it's fine. It's chill. Just, be cool about it. But the second that you start affecting other people's games, which is what this does, it allows
a mod that allows players customized avatars to be visible outside of their own game. So it is projecting it into other people's games.
Right. It's basically syncing the way that mods affect your game to other people's games. And it's, that does also take away from the business of, they do sell items and skins and stuff. So that's basically him saying, hey, yeah, exactly. Hey, you're gonna get our team in trouble with the Square Enix business people. Y'all can't do this. So that's kind of why he has to like crack down on this.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's like, it just sounds like they crossed a line that, like, a lot of times.
To be clear, everyone needs the mod installed for us to work. So it's not like you're forcing it on other users' games. But it is like you are getting around their systems for doing customizations and stuff.
Right. And just like making stuff available that you have to pay for in the game. It's just a boneheaded move. I get that, like, you maybe do that in your own game in some way, but anytime you like make that a big thing where it's like now everyone's doing this, of course these companies are going to crack down on that. It's like they should know better, the people making the mods, honestly.
Yeah, especially when it comes to things like mods that give you the appearance of high level gear that you didn't actually like spend time in the game for, which also takes money away from them for, and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I see how we ended up here, and especially like a lot of people in chat. I see Christian going off about it, and you mentioned the shut the fuck up Friday rule, and them like just like flouting that and completely standing in opposition to that. It's like, of course we ended up here if you did not follow that unspoken rule. All right, up next, EA and 2K Games are beefing over NCAA college basketball exclusivity. This is from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku. Electronic Arts revealed earlier this year that it's planning to add a college basketball game to its ever-expanding roster of sports franchises. Then 2K Games came out hours later, indicated it was doing the same. Now, new reporting suggests both publishers have been at war behind the scenes trying to lock up the deals needed to make an NCAA basketball game a reality. I'm glad we have our expert here. Lex Luddy, what do you think about all this?
As someone who's been following the Women's Rugby World Cup recently, I'm very excited for EA and 2K to begin their bidding war for the Women's Rugby license. The sport has never been in a better place. It's never been more watchable. It's never been easier to access. And have you seen how Canada play? They're actually good at this sport.
Whoa,
It's
really?
wild. The Canadian women are really fucking good. Canadian men suck shit.
Hell yeah, that's the way it should
Yeah,
be.
it's great. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this one to you. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where we would just would have gotten multiple sports games like this. We would have gotten multiple college basketball games from multiple publishers in the same year, and it would have been fine. You pick the one that's the best, and then next year maybe a different one's the best one. You get that one. It sounds like mostly because of the Byzantine nature of licensing these schools and the thousands of players, and now it's not just like. Because with college football game, it was just, if that's men's college football, now they're going to have men's and women's teams, so double it. And and women's college basketball is extremely popular in a lot of the country, so that is important to get. It just sounds like that is going to cause some problems here, where it's like all of these schools and all of these players are going to be like, we can make a lot more money if we kind of have these companies bid against one another. Although to me, it's like, just come up with a big number for both of them to pay and let them both make it. But maybe these companies are like, actually, if we're going to be spending all this money, we want the exclusive rights. So it's just a reminder of like, we're in a bad place with a lot of these things because of business and the way that these companies do business and the way the businesses of sports in America, especially college sports, is so locked down and
It's
controlled by a
nuts.
few entities. I know.
As someone
from the
outside
yep.
of, it's like unhinged. It is so weird.
There's no defending it. I love it. I do love it. It's really exciting. It's there's a lot of the parallel would be like people who are super into their club team, and that parallel breaks down really fast. But also it's college, and they're all kids for the most part, or just very young adults,
Not
and
being paid
and they're
properly.
not being paid, although now many of them are, and that has changed. Although they're being paid for their deals that they get, their marketing deals, and not necessarily getting paid a wage by the school that is also continuing to make millions and millions of dollars off of these kids. We'll see how this shakes out. There's too much money on the table for this not to end up with a game coming out. But what this really says to me is a lot of that money will be spent on getting these deals done and not necessarily on making the best game, which is where this whole genre has been for a while. All right, last thing here. United States ends low-value package tariff exemption, raising costs for online shoppers. This is from Oscar Antonin Docal at Game Reactor. The latest news on the from the United States.
They laughed at you for buying 1 million Chinese handhelds. They called you a fool. Look who's laughing now.
That's right. Come to me for those Chinese handhelds. I have them all. The de minimis is the name of the loophole. That it was an official loophole. Basically, it existed because if a package was worth less than $800, no one involved on either side, whether it was a company or a country or a postal service, wanted to deal with customs for that package. They're like, whatever, it's not worth it, the amount of money we're getting from this. Just let it through and let commerce flow freely. And then Trump was born and was dropped on his head, apparently. And now we have to deal with him being like, there's money there. Go in that loophole and let's try to get that money. So what has been the response? It's not that like we have to start paying these tariffs. It's people aren't going to fucking ship us stuff anymore. Like that's what's happened. Many vendors throughout Europe and Asia have just ceased shipping products to the United States because they don't know who to even give the money to. It's confusing. It's poorly implemented, and it's the United States. We're number one, baby. Here we are. We're back on top. So if you are struggling to like purchase stuff online right now, it's because of this. It's a
Yeah,
just wonderful, wonderful thing we have going on here.
it seems great. The fact that I was like offering you like, hey, if you need something in Japan, I'll be there, and it will probably
Yeah.
be easier for me to ship it from Ireland because like Ireland will continue to have a pretty good shipping relationship with the United States for as long as it can because there's so many Irish people there. But like that will only last so long.
Right. Yes, and that's it's worth pointing out. Like anyone sending a personal package to someone else in their life or something like that is not going to be covered by this. And I bet there's a number where it actually does kick into place. But this is all about businesses and commerce. So yeah, like Lexi, if you got me something from Japan and wanted to send it to me, you should be able to do that. And again, worth pointing out.
I'm gonna get you
for
a Japanese copy of Balan Wonderworld.
Yeah, you know what? I might as well. You're right. Go ahead, get it, and give it for
Shit,
me.
I shouldn't have
Whatever.
said that out loud. That sounds great. Oh,
Shit. All right.
why is it that everything I send you is like awful or would get you in trouble?
No, I deserve it. I get it. That makes sense to me, actually. What is going to be the fallout from all this? 'Cause that's the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody. It's not good. Commerce between countries is actually a very good thing. It's turned out to be the case.
That sounds
Not-
like some commie bullshit to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not even. It's free market bullshit. But it has worked out for the most part, being able to like buy stuff from people who make things in other countries so that they can get money and live. But we're against that now because we suck. All right. That does it for the headlines. Let's get to the poll question from yesterday. We posted that earlier. Let's go ahead and see what the results are at. Do you use any cloud gaming platform? Your options were yes or no. I guess I occasionally do. So I'm going to vote yes. And that means I'm one of the 16% of people who say yes. 84% of our audience says no, they don't actively use a cloud gaming platform. Lexi, are you ever on Antstream or whatever? Gaikai? What are you doing?
No, unless I like really have to, no, because Irish internet just isn't good enough. Like I have pretty good internet for Ireland, but it's still there's a latency that I can feel that I just kind of ruins it for me. So no.
Yeah, I use it here or there, but really not in any active way too frequently. And just, I mean, I get that our audience was always going to be pretty low for the yes on this response. But I think I don't imagine outside of our audience it's going to be much higher. Although, worth pointing out that Matt earlier this week did say it's growing in places like Brazil and South Korea, where they have good internet and a strong gaming culture, and they just kind of get this. So maybe the long game here really is still in play, but it probably has to be a very long game, and they're spending a lot of money on data centers in the meantime. All right, with that out of the way, let's do this. Lexi, do you have anything you want to tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff?
Yes, I've been super busy with Gamescom stuff. Most of my previews will be going up on Shack News. So far, I have like 5 up. There's going to be 7 by the end of today. I am writing like 4 more that are embargoed until sometime next week. And I have a few others after that. If you are going to seek out any of them, I would highly recommend checking out my interview with Suda51. That dude is awesome. It was really good talking to him about how he goes about like crediting his team and getting everyone, because he put like the credits for the whole team in the trailer for Romeo Was a Dead Man. And
cool.
He was like, yeah, I want everyone to like get their time to like talk about how cool their work is. And he is a really nice guy. He also told me which wrestler he would feature in one of his video games if he could, because we got talking about James Gunn and how James Gunn works with a lot of wrestlers that he likes. And we also talked about if James Gunn did ask him to work on a DC game, what kind of thing would he be interested in doing? And the answer involved Blackpink.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That would be amazing, actually.
Yeah, he wants to make a Batman black and white video game, so based off the anthology comics, and then do, quote, something stupid and put Blackpink in it for the theme song.
Make them the villains.
Yeah. Suda's great. Suda's a very nice guy. James Mountain as well, his translator, very, very friendly guy. And Romeo Is a Dead Man looks fucking awesome. Really excited for more people to see that game.
Oh, that's good to hear. All right, fantastic. So yeah, people look out for Lexi's coverage of Gamescom. It's ongoing. Let's see. Let's talk about what's happening on Giant Bomb. We have UPF is going to be happening here in a little bit. That's happening first at 1 p.m. Eastern. That would be 10 a.m. Pacific time. A voicemail dump truck is then happening after that. We had to move it from Thursday because we had a bunch of the folks out. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern. So look out for that. Let's see here. UPF, we're going to probably have a bunch of stuff. We're trying a couple things. I want to do that mage game where you have to like use your voice to cast spells. That looks pretty dumb. But maybe we'll try that Sonic Crossworlds demo as well.
Pick up the pepper grinder.
Yes, we'll get the
Pick
pepper
up
grinder.
the pepper grinder.
All right. With all of that out of the way, we should wrap up the week with the Bomb 12, everybody. Sean's going to get it up on the screen for you right now so you can see what the Bomb 12 is for the week of August 29th. Let me see here. I want to take a look at it myself. I have it right over here in my Figma. All right. The Bomb 12, starting with number 12, Sword of the Sea. Once again on the Bomb 12 after last week. Dropped a little bit, but it's still hanging on there at number 12. There was a lot of movement this week, so impressive to be able to hang on. Street Fighter 6 looks like it's going to be a perennial hit on here. It's at number 11. The Rogue Prince of Persia was able to crack its way into the Bomb 12 for the first time at number 10. Abiotic Factor, number 9. That's one that I've seen kind of bubbling up each week, Lexi. It went into 1.0 recently. I think that's what happened, and people are checking in on that. I've been meaning to go back. I have not. Have you checked out Abiotic Factor?
I haven't. I played a bunch of Rogue Prince of Persia the other night, though, and that game is a lot of fun.
Yeah, people seem to have really come around on the Rogue Prince of Persia. I think the response in early access was kind of muted. Sounds like they really got it together recently. Number 8 is Final Fantasy XIV. Number 7 is World of Warcraft. Number 6 is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That's relatively low for that game. I think it's the lowest it's ever been. And that's because there, again, a lot of movement. Number 5 was Death Stranding 2. Number 4 was Helldivers 2. And that means number 3, new game, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. It was able to get its way on this list in its first week. There's a chance that once more people have get their hands on it because it's out now for everyone.
It was only actually released today. It was early access up until now.
Exactly. So expected to do even better next week. Number 2 is Hollow Knight. That's not Silksong. That's just standard Hollow Knight. Silksong's got a lot of people going back to this one. I'm not surprised to see it here, Lexi. I see people logging on to games on Steam or on the Switch, and all week it was this person, Hollow Knight, that person, Hollow Knight, this third person, Hollow Knight. A lot of people playing that game. I'm not. Number 1. Donkey Kong Bonanza, still hanging on there at number 1. It has continued to be the number 1 game for the entire run of the Bomb 12 so far. Again, I still think there's a chance Delta knocks it off, but it probably won't be until next week. We'll see. And that's the Bomb 12.
Shinobi. Go play Shinobi. It's really good.
Yeah, I hope Shinobi actually cracks its way on here next week. Shinobi is one that I think will get some word of mouth. I'm glad you like it as well. I keep asking everyone, Jesse, and I saw some other reviews, had some issues with the platforming. Have you had any troubles with the platforming or what?
I only got my code last night because I asked for a Switch code. Yeah. It seems to run fine on Switch, even though it's Switch 1 version. It definitely runs better than Ninja Gaiden did. No, the platforming seems fine from what I've played so far.
Let me see if let me take a look at the list here real quick, just wrap things up. There was 3 people who voted for Nine Kings, which is a game I've been hearing about, but I've still not checked out. So we'll see. Kirby and the Forgotten World had 1 vote, but I think that'll go up next week, actually, now that DLC is out. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if there's any other ones that are interesting that only got 1 vote. Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec had 1 vote.
Nice. Fuck yeah.
Out to y'all. Heretic plus Hexen, some people playing that. 1 person playing iRacing. Let's see. A couple votes for Is This Seat Taken? Lies of P. Mafia of the Old Country had 4 or 5 people give it a vote. We had about, 700 respondents this week. So a lot of different games on here. Merge Maestro did fall off, but it still had a decent showing on here from a handful of people still playing that. And yeah, that's going to do it for the Bomb 12. We'll do another one next Friday. If you want to have your say, go to giantbomb.com. I'll post a blog post that will have a link at the bottom to the new form where you can vote and have your say. We'll get the results. I'll collate that all for the end of next week. All right, Lexi, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Well, I say anytime. I'm going to be in Japan for 3 weeks, so might not be as available then. But I'll find a replacement for myself. I'll find someone that you can draft.
Yeah, you could send someone my way. That sounds good.
My medical joker.
Oh no. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself and goodbye.